Investors, we are live once again. Welcome back to our weekly preparation live stream. We do this every single Sunday, 30 minutes before the overnight session starts. So right now we have had the futures open here on Sunday. We'll pull that up here on screen. But so right now when we do look at the S&P is up in the futures, same as the NASDAQ. So both the S&P and the NASDAQ up right now, and also the oil futures are up. We actually did see oil jump significantly when the futures did start. So we saw oil get all the way back to 100 plus, all the way to 101.58. So we saw oil start out strong, and we actually did see the futures with the major indexes start in the red. But now we do see that both of the major indexes and oil are all in the green right now. And of course, there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt at this moment because of Iran and everything that is happening right now. And a big focus right now is the Strait of Hormuz. If you don't know what the Strait of Hormuz is, this is just an area out in Iran where oil does pass through. And so right now there is a constraint. The Strait of Hormuz is being closed off, and a lot of tensions are happening right now. Just when we talk about supply and demand with oil, a lot of the supply for oil does go through the Strait of Hormuz, which right now is not having much activity. And so if you just type in Iran or the Strait of Hormuz, there is of course a ton a ton of different articles about the disruption that is threatening to shake the global economy. The near shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz is beginning to ripple through the global economy, threatening energy supplies, raising fuel prices, and reshaping geopolitical dynamics. And so we have recently had a lot of FUD with this war. I do believe that FUD will continue into this week. And we also do have a lot of important economic data this week, including the FOMC interest rate decision on Wednesday and the press conference from Jerome Powell directly after that. If you have been in the markets long enough, you know exactly how Jerome Powell and these FOMC decisions can go. You know, you have the initial decision right when we get the announcement, whether or not there will be a rate cut, which right now it is not expected, a less than 1% chance that we do get a rate cut here at this FOMC decision on Wednesday. But not only do you get that, but then right after that, you get even more volatility with Jerome Powell speaking directly after that, getting some type of indication how the Fed feels. And usually it's pretty straightforward and boring, to be honest. Jerome Powell will most likely come out. And again, this is never financial advice, just my opinion. I do believe he will come out. We will see the Fed will not cut rates at this meeting here in 2 days. And most likely Jerome Powell will say they are continuing to be data dependent and just pausing right now, waiting for more data to come in. Not only do we have that on Wednesday, but we also do have the PPI numbers. So the inflation numbers for the producers. With inflation, it was a little bit higher than expected with the last reports. So with Wednesday, these reports, in my opinion, don't matter as much. If we had a closer odds of the Fed cutting, if it was more 50-50, I believe these would weigh more on the markets, but really it's already baked into expectations that the Fed won't cut. So we do got those inflation numbers on Wednesday. On Thursday, we do have the initial jobless claims. And then let's go over to the earnings calendar really quick. Let's take a look at who is reporting earnings for this next week. So on March 16th, tomorrow, we have Dollar Tree as a big one. On Tuesday, we have Oklo. That is a pretty big one. I know a lot of eyes are on Oklo. We also have DocuSign. What else do we have? On Wednesday, we have MU. We have RCAT. I know this is a big one that many are looking at. We have Macy's reporting, so just another big box store. Same to be said with 5 and below. Thursday, we have FedEx. And then on Friday, it looks like we just have this company Xpeng. And so that is what it looks like for the earnings calendar. No major companies when it comes to technology. We're not seeing like NVIDIA this week or AMD or any of the Mag 7. Really, I think the main focus this week, again, is going to be on the Federal Reserve, who right now is not expected to cut. And the overall sentiment in the markets right now are extreme fear. We have extreme fear from rising oil prices. We have seen the markets chop sideways for a long time now. We have seen the hard metals rising significantly and tech falling. We have all of those factors happening right now. We have some fear, uncertainty, and doubt around the tariffs. And then when it comes to inflation, many are spooked about that, again, with all the rising prices. And when we talk about the Federal Reserve most likely not going to cut. So when it does look like any optimist, when we're looking for catalysts that are optimistic, not much for the markets going in to this week. We have also seen the VIX rising most recently. And so a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the air. I believe that this is a great opportunity to buy into the markets. I like to buy during moments of extreme fear. And we have seen some very hard movements in both of the major indexes and a lot of technology for a long time. So while so many others are feeling like this is the absolute end of the world, I am still remaining with my faith in the markets. Also, just when we do talk about the Federal Reserve, you know, the reason why so many investors are always focusing on the Fed, including myself, is because when we look at the M2 money supply, if you don't know what the M2 money supply is, I have an explanation here from ChatGPT. I'll show you in a second. But when we do just look at the graph with the M2 money supply, it has been rising significantly. Basically, what the M2 money supply is, in simplest terms, it includes cash, checking account money, savings accounts, money market accounts, CDs. Think of it like this. The M2 is the total money, the total pool of spendable money sitting in wallets and bank accounts. So basically just all of the cash circulating in the system. And we have been seeing the Fed pump tremendous amounts of money over the last decade. And I do believe that we are going to go into a much larger cycle of quantitative easing, because not only has the M2 money supply been expanding, when we do look at the Fed's balance sheet, they have also recently started purchasing the assets once again. So we did see a long trail off where the Fed was letting a lot of those assets run off of the balance sheet. But most recently, they have been purchasing up on the treasuries again. And the Fed and the government will not allow the markets to fail. Now, we could see more bleeding in the markets. We could even see some capitulation. But in my belief, with, you know, when we just look at the history of money and, you know, with what the Federal Reserve has done really since the '08 crisis, I do believe that they are going to step in once again and save the markets. Another reason why the hard metals have been recently very bullish. And so I do expect for a reverse here on this balance sheet, and I do expect for the M2 money supply to expand even further. Now, when it does come to the Iran situation, you know, very unpredictable when this war will end, because the president has been saying it's going to end every single day. But just like this article reads right here, Israel launches strikes as Trump urges world to defend Strait of Hormuz. So a lot of tensions going out in the Middle East right now. We have all of that going on. We have a very persistent Fed that does not want to cut rates. We have a president that is always bashing the Fed. We have a new federal chairman later in the year. So there is a ton going on. And we also have the Clarity Act being looked at right now. And so the Senate leader says Clarity Act unlikely to advance before April, but it is being looked at. And with that, let's take a look here at what the actual article is saying. Let's go down here. Let's see if there's anything significant here. Just the market structure is a bill, just talking about what the Clarity Act is, which we've been talking about a lot on this channel, going to add some real regulation, a real one-to-one with stable coins, going to be massive for all of cryptocurrency. This is being looked at at right now. And so right now, while we have seen a lot of retractions in the market, I am looking at these crypto plays with the Clarity Act being recently, being hopefully passed here in the recent near term. Krishan the mom with a heart. Hey, thank you so much for being here today in today's live stream. Great to see you. Happy Sunday, another day, another trade. Great to see you as always. Cheers. And then oil ETF. Yes, we could look at some oil ETFs here in a bit, but right now I want to focus on cryptocurrency, because if this Clarity Act does go through, I do believe this will be massive for the entire crypto market. And that might not be the only catalyst with crypto, because also, if you guys have heard with X Money, Elon Musk's X, formerly known as Twitter, he is set to launch X Money in April. So this next month, a fiat-based digital payment system embedded with the X app. It offers peer-to-peer transfers, direct deposits, high yield interest, approximately 6% API. That is wild. And a debit card with cashback rewards, functioning as an everything app financial hub. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this X Money does play out. You know, some are thinking that there will be some cryptocurrency involved in this. Everything that I see on X Money right now is still talking about using fiat-based currencies. But again, fiat-based digital payment system. Very interesting with the Clarity Act possibly being passed here in the very near future. That would work well if they do get that passed. And then for Elon, the X Money could be something like US dollar coin, or maybe one of these other cryptos that many do speculate on. But right now, Bitcoin is sitting at a very interesting spot, currently under that major level of support and resistance at 75,000. Currently here sitting at 72,000. So Bitcoin is right at a major level of resistance, also passing right through the 50-day moving average. So it's going to be very interesting to see this week if Bitcoin can break up to 75,000 or even beyond. You know, the technicals on the relative strength index and the MACD do support that we could potentially go higher in Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin does continue to rise, and if we do get positive catalysts from the Clarity Act out of Washington, many different crypto plays that I am going to be looking at. One that I've been talking about a lot most recently is Circle Internet Group, as we have seen a lot of momentum with Circle Internet Group. And this is the company that does issue US dollar coin. And so the Clarity Act, of course, going to put one-to-one real US dollar behind actual stable coins. Circle Internet Group, a big will benefit big from this. Right now, we have seen a big push up in Circle, currently at $114. Now, I will say on the relative strength index and on the MACD, we are a bit overextended on those levels. It looks like we got another chat here from the uncompromised one saying that Elon Musk is the Antichrist. First putting some shocked eye emojis and then going to some laughing emojis. You know, some do believe that with how Elon Musk has Neuralink. You know, some say that is like combining the AI with the man, you know, getting the mark of the beast. You know, that is one that many have different opinions on. Some are behind Neuralink, thinking that it will be amazing, maybe for someone who has a disability or, you know, an arm that is numb or something. You know, Neuralink apparently supposed to help with that, but others say that that is the mark of the beast. And so I have seen people say that with Elon Musk before. George, hey, welcome to the stream. Great to see you. As always, George, we just wrapped up basically on everything to expect for this upcoming week with the market. The first 10 minutes of the stream dedicated to everything that we have coming up. We were looking at the futures where we opened up on the S&P, the NASDAQ, and then also with oil, which once again is at $100. Talked about Iran, the Strait of Hormuz. We also talked about the economic calendar. George, the most important day of this week is going to be on Wednesday when we do have the FOMC rate decision. I am not expecting for a cut from the Federal Reserve. If they did do a cut, though, that would be massive for the markets. But right now, the projection's less than 1%. I do expect for the Fed to pause, Jerome Powell to come out and say his same script that he says every time. Good afternoon. The Fed is remaining data dependent. We are focused on inflation and the labor market. We're just not cutting right now. A bit of a hawkish statement I am most likely expecting from Jerome Powell. We have a decent amount of fear in the markets right now. We are at extreme levels of fear. And something I did not touch on earlier, let's just take a look at the major indexes in terms of technical analysis, because right now when we do look at the S&P getting very close to that 200-day moving average, which the 200-day MA is massive, because with the 200-day MA, many times we will see stocks or the indexes remain right above these 200-day MAs and then could trail with it for some time. But problems really start to occur when we do see a break under the 200-day MA. That is when we could see a lot of price action collapse. But I am not expecting to collapse under that 200-day MA. I do believe that we could get a bounce off of these levels. Now, I do know there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the air right now. I also know that the Fed is most likely not going to save the markets this week by cutting, but I do expect for us to remain at this level and possibly have a bounce off, because so much is looking so bleak right now, but the markets have already digested a lot of what we have seen when it comes to fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and also the war. Again, things could get a bit worse in the short term. I'm not saying that we can't get a little bit of a liquidity draw from the markets, many liquidated if it does fall slightly under the 200-day MA, but I do believe that this will act as a level of support. I do believe that we will remain around this level for this week and possibly a bounce off, but I am expecting to be right around this level for a little bit longer. When we do look at the triple Qs, the NASDAQ, we are pinned right in between the 50-day MA and right at that 200-day moving average. But we talked all about that, George, and then we also just talked about some long-term looks when it does come to the Federal Reserve, the M2 money supply rising, and then also the balance sheet with the Fed looking like we could be seeing a potential reversal, more quantitative easing ahead potentially, and the Clarity Act. And then again, we just touched a little bit on X money, and we don't really have too many big players here on the earnings calendar for this week. And quantum is going to control your crypto. Data centers about to explode. I like that uncompromised one. Let's take a look here at Applied Digital, having some rough movements in the short term, but a play that I am personally bullish on. I do like what we have seen with Applied Digital. This company already earning a ton of revenue. Now they are still in the red when it does come to their entire balance sheet. A lot of funding when it comes to the data centers, everything that is having to be built out. But Applied Digital right now, right close to the 200-day moving average, right in the middle on the relative strength index. And then potentially we may be seeing a bullish cross on the MACD. If we do see all of technology and AI get some type of bullish catalyst, we could get a strong reversal here. We'll just have to see. Overall, Applied Digital has been in a pretty strong uptrend for the most part. One thing we also did not cover here, let's just see if the president has anything to say on Truth Social. Looks like he hasn't actually posted anything today, so using Sunday as a day of rest. But it's very interesting the time frame that we live currently, with the president being able to just say things on Truth Social and pump the market. You know, the markets move so much off of big news and catalysts. You know, all we're really waiting for in the technology sector is to get some type of big news or catalyst around AI or technology. A lot of negative articles for many months now. Not just that, but also if we do somehow get a rate cut on Wednesday, or maybe some dovish remarks from the Fed, that can also help to reverse the trend in the markets. And I do believe once we do get an overall trend reversal from all this fear, uncertainty, doubt, and all these bears, you know, in the market, I do believe that technology is going to be one of those sectors that does run the hardest. It's funny, when we do look at past bull markets, it is always that way, where we do see, you know, different asset classes rise, and when certain asset classes like crypto or small caps or tech is beat down, so many are saying that it is the end of the world. But then when we see the rip go back towards the bulls, that is when we see absolutely euphoric momentum. And so I am expecting many big things around quantum. What Uncompromised mentioned earlier, I do expect for quantum to still have some big moves in the future. AI, technology, the data centers robots, all those different plays that we have covered for so long on this channel. And hey, wow, thank you so much, Chrisun the Mom. I remember you told me last stream it is a flower. Chrisun the Mom, thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate that. Love my green family. You are all my green family. This is the Green Money Momentum family. As always, it is great to see you all here in the live stream. I love doing this. So every single Sunday, we are always doing the weekly preparation for the stock market, talking about what we could expect for this upcoming week. Right now, I am still a bit uncertain about what we are going to see this week, so I'm not too urgent to necessarily buy the dip, but you know, if opportunities do present themselves, I may be buying more dips on great plays and opportunities. One that I have bought the dip on most recently, we have talked about many times, is Robinhood stock. Still in a downtrend, but we are down about 50% from the highs that were set all the way back in October. I think that this is a tremendous company right here with tremendous fundamentals, and I have a long-term vision on Robinhood. So if we do see some more capitulation and more bleeding this week, and we do see some plays really trail off, I may look at buying the dip, but right now I am just remaining patient, really. And then when we look at MP Materials, this is another play. Hard metals, you know, out here in North America, they dropped off all the way from 100 back down to 50, and talking about that 200-day MA, how it can act as a magnet, as a level of support, somewhere where stocks could remain at for some time, trail right alongside it. Well, we could see that in MP Materials, which is currently right at that 200-day MA. Again, this could be a good opportunity, but also if we do see a drop under that 200-day MA, that is when we could have some more long-term bleeding and long-term problems. You know, talking about like a play that crashed well under the 200-day moving average, that was Hims and Hers Health. And look, as soon as it crossed under the 200-day MA, how much it dropped even more. You know, this was a stock that every time it hit that 200-day MA, it would have bounces off of this level. This was consistent for quite some time, and then boom, we had that drop followed with a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Some articles of them being sued with Novo Nordisk, and we saw a significant trail off. But most recently, they did announce a partnership with Novo, and the stock did see a big pop. Now, we did have a gap opened up in Hims and Hers Health, and oftentimes gaps are meant to be filled. We are looking a bit overextended on the relative strength index. I do believe that we could push higher on the MACD, but this, you know, the whole market in general is reacting a lot off the macros. And so if we do see some more negative macros this week, more fear, maybe Donald Trump come out with some type of surprise tariff, or Jerome Powell shoot the markets by saying, you know, oh my God, if the Fed were to rise rates, right, which I am not expecting, but any really negative catalysts, we could see this gap get filled once again. The markets right now are just moving a lot off the macros, which is a lot around war, a lot around uncertainty. You know, one play that I have my eye on this week is going to be Big Bear AI, but I do want to say one thing when it does come to Big Bear. I do believe, you know, right now Big Bear could have some, you know, pops and have some bullish momentum from, you know, everything we are seeing when it comes to war. The defense stocks are a bit hot right now. We've seen Palantir having a bit of a push up, but what I will say with Big Bear just here in the short term is, you know, Big Bear remained consolidated in this level for so long, basically all the way from June of last year all the way till January of this year. So it was consolidated for quite some time. Now we are under that level of consolidation, but when we do look at the options market, there is a lot of gamma right around $4 and $4.50. And so hopefully we see some type of big catalyst with Big Bear here in the near future, but I do believe that Big Bear could continue to remain in the high threes, possibly right around $4, $4.50, but we really want to see the buyers start to step in the Big Bear. But the Big Bear right now is out in the Middle East, so a very interesting play to have the highs on. Hims actually got my hair growing back. I hope they do well. Yeah, hey, I like Hims and Hers Health. You know, they provide a lot of great products. Let's go over to their website right now, because Hims and Hers Health, what I like about Hims and Hers Health is, they are a lot different than a lot of other medical companies. They say that you don't actually really need a doctor's visit. You could do it all digitally, and there is so much that Hims and Hers has. So, you could have better intercourse. You could regrow your hair, what you're talking about here, Uncompromised One. You could boost testosterone. You could get a health check. There's a lot with this. And then the EpiPen, which is very interesting about losing weight. And so that was a big reason why Hims and Hers Health did have a big drop off, is because of the GLP drugs, because of the weight loss drugs, and Novo. There was a big fight going on between these two for so long. Novo was suing Hims and Hers Health, but now they have actually combined together for a partnership. So yeah, I am very bullish on Hims and Hers Health, and that is great to hear, Uncompromised One, that you are a customer of theirs. What I also love about Hims and Hers Health in general, this is still a company that is in the small cap range. I believe right now under a $6 billion market cap. Let's go take a look and confirm that. It also has a significantly high short interest. So they have a market value just slightly under 6 billion. And what's crazy is 41% of the flow is shorted in Hims. And so this is one of the plays that right now I am looking at for day trading opportunities, swing trading, day trading. I have a runner in Hims, but two very hot in play stocks that I am looking at right now is Hims and Hers Health. Again, a massive short interest, and Hims and Hers Health got beat down. I mean, like taken behind the woodshed and took a bat to the head over and over and over, and then shot, right? So it wasn't just taken behind the woodshed and shot. It was mauled and then shot, and then mauled and then shot again. But a lot of that fear, a lot of the reasons why it trailed off so much was because of the Novo situation. And now that they have combined, this is very interesting, because we have recently seen a big push up in Hims and Hers Health. And if we can see bullish momentum in the markets, if we do get some positive catalysts, right now Hims and Hers Health is on the top of the volume list. A lot of eyes on Hims and Hers Health, and I believe that we could get an even bigger squeeze in Hims and Hers Health. Again, right now a 41% short interest. And so we're talking about gamma exposure. We're talking about the options market with Big Bear AI. With Hims and Hers Health, there are a lot of shorts, and the dealers are going to have to close their positions and buy if we see some serious price momentum in Hims and Hers Health. And we did have a pretty strong uptrend in Hims and Hers Health for the most part. Again, a great company, a lot of real value. This company has accelerating earnings. When we go look at Hims and Hers Health here on Earnings Hub, they have accelerating earnings. They have a positive earnings per share, and they have a decent price to sales ratio. And so the markets can get pretty funky when you look at PE, PS, and a lot of these different metrics at times, especially when there's a lot of hyper bullish momentum in the market. But right now, the price to sales actually very fair, under 3. So right at 2.4. And this company is killing it in terms of revenue. Massive that they just made this partnership with Novo. And so, yes, myself, I am very bullish on Hims and Hers Health, the two companies that I am mainly looking at right now when it comes to doing some day trading. I like to play in things that are hot in play stocks. Hims and Hers Health, and again, one that we mentioned earlier, Circle Internet Group, and the entire crypto sector, because it has really been beat down for many months now. So not just Circle Internet Group, but also plays such as MicroStrategy, or I guess I should say, I put in Microsoft. That's funny. Strategy is now called MSTR is the ticker symbol. But right now, back at $138. What's also interesting with Strategy is they did trail off for a long time, a very nasty downtrend, but has finally broken out of that trend, trading a bit sideways, having a bounce off the bottom on the relative strength index, and then even seeing a bullish cross on the MACD. So I'm also looking at MSTR. And then also, if you are bullish on Ethereum, you have Bitmine Immersion, right now currently under the 50-day and the 200-day MA, pretty low on the relative strength index, recently seeing a bullish cross on the MACD, but still looking pretty weak. But these crypto derivatives, these crypto holding companies, you know, with cryptocurrency, if we do start to see some bullish momentum, if we do see Bitcoin reach 75,000 and beyond, if we do see Ethereum start to pop, if we do see Solana jump, all these crypto derivatives will also have, or should have, some massive pushes with those crypto plays. Now, there has been some dilution in Bitmine immersion. Just know that. With that, same as MST strategy, gosh, I keep wanting to call it Microsoft, MSTR, they have also had some dilution. But I am looking at these plays as some day trading opportunities again, alongside Hims and Hers Health. And ZNPL, thank you again for being here in the live stream. You have been here for the last couple of live streams. I know you are a big fan of DJT talking about cryptocurrency. Yes, this is another play that does take advantage of crypto. They have a big reserve of Bitcoin on their balance sheet, currently at $9.80, under the 200-day MA, under the 50-day MA, and there's been a lot of pressure in DJT. But I'll say what I always say with Trump Media and Technology Group. I am bullish on this ticker. I made my buy back in 2024, September of 2024, and I am holding those shares for the long term. And I also opened up an options contract not long ago, right when we did reach under $10 for DJT. This is a leap going all the way out to 2027, but I am bullish on DJT. I do expect for there to be a trend reversal with Trump Media and Technology Group sometime here in the near future. And, you know, with their big balance sheet of Bitcoin and everything else that we may see with the Clarity Act, that could be massive for Trump Media and Technology Group and the entire crypto sector of the market. This is a huge breakdown, much appreciated. Hey, as always, I really enjoy doing this. This is so much fun to come on here. As you guys could tell, I just love to yap. I could talk forever. So I hope that I provide you guys as much entertainment as you provide to me. Cheers, green money, cheers, green money, momentum, family. Drink up and enjoy the day. Hey, Stephanie, great to see you here in the live stream once again. Yes, here in 2 minutes, we are going to see the overnight markets officially open. So we have had the futures open already. We see that right now the S&P is up in the futures. The same to be said with the NASDAQ. And look at that. That is great to see. I mean, this is just some short-term movements. We're really going to see the bulk of the movements right as the markets open tomorrow. But great to see. Let's go. Woo! Great to see oil in the red right now. So we initially had this gap up in oil above 100 again, and we saw the indexes start out in the red. But now we have had a reversal where the index futures are in the green and oil is in the red, which is funny because I always like to type in stock market and just see what the articles are saying. And man, the fellas from CNBC were quick to say right as those futures opened, quick to throw some FUD into the air. The stock futures rise slightly as oil's at 100. Well, look, just 1 hour ago, look at how quickly things change. Now, I'm not saying that oil can't get back to 100, but this is how quick the financial markets can move. This is a reason why I am always doing daily videos and weekly live streams, because the markets move so quick, especially in today's world with all of the volatility and all of the factors that we have. We got to always stay up to date on the markets, always have real-time data, because if you just read this an hour ago, you could say, oh my gosh, oil is at 100. Oh my God, the stock futures are in the red. But look at it now with oil officially dropping under 100. That is exciting to see. And we are going to officially see the overnight markets open here in just a minute. So just 1 minute away. Hey, David, welcome from the United Kingdom. Great to see you here, David. And cheers. Absolutely. Cheers to everyone who is here. I always love doing this. It's a lot of fun to be able to be in the overnights with you guys. And look at that. Just like the futures showed us, we just saw a jump in the triple Qs. And do we see a jump here in the SPY? The SPX is not moving. Let's go over to the SPY here, the major index. And then also with the SPY, but a big red candlestick here. So we did have that big jump up in the SPY, but the bears are taking the candle right now. We'll see where this candle does close up, but we did have a big jump up in the triple Qs. Now, when it does come to both of the major indexes, we have seen a lot of resistance in both. Again, when we talk about the options market, the dealers have been doing a lot of hedging, not allowing for the major indexes to really rise to new all-time highs. We have basically been pinned at the same levels since October. We did reach some new highs in the S&P, but with the triple Qs, we have not been able to make the same highs that were made all the way back in 2025. So a lot of resistance, but hey, a positive here to at least see in the overnight markets that we are starting green. Let's take a look here at some individual stocks. Let's see how we've opened up. Looks like with DJT, we did slightly open up lower. What were we at a second ago? Okay, looks like we actually opened up higher. Let's take a look at Robinhood. Let's see how Robinhood has opened up at 74.23. A nice push there in Robinhood. Again, talking about where the dealers are positioned, the major levels of gamma exposure. What I want to see with Robinhood stock is for Robinhood to break past the levels of $80 to $85. There has been a major level of resistance at those levels. And then when we do look at where the gamma exposure is in the options market, where a lot of those contracts are set to break even, a lot of that has been right around $80 to $81. I mean, just look at when we look at the neckline here, there's just been a crazy neckline right around that $80 mark with Robinhood, a major level of resistance in the short term. If the market starts to open red, everyone take a drink. Well, thankfully, Stephanie, I don't know if you are delayed here, but no, we actually have opened up green. So let's go. That is great to see some green, some bullish momentum for the bulls. Sunday night drink maxing. You are funny. No, my friend Stephanie, we are going for looks maxing. Looks maxing. I've been working out so hard most recently, eating some high protein foods. I just hit chest day earlier. Feeling great. I don't know if you guys could tell, I got a bit of a different haircut today. Well, it's not really that different. I didn't actually go get a haircut, just switched up my style a little bit, going from the sideways to just the slick back, the American Psycho look. So let me know in the comments, guys, if you like the new haircut or if you could even tell. But Stephanie, that is great to see that you're here again. I hope that you are drinking to the live stream, celebrating, drinking some champagne to the overnight green that we have seen here. Now, I'll say what I always say, and I do love doing these Sunday live streams, but really, you know, the movements that really start to matter is right at the pre-market and then right when the market opens. That when that bell rings, that is when we see the most volatility in the markets. And Croissant the Mom, wow, another super chat. This is your second of the night. Thank you so much for sending donations. That really does help this channel. I am still a very small channel, so still growing, not earning a ton of revenue from this YouTube channel. So thank you so much for another donation. Safe haven, oil versus crypto versus metals, or I would say if you're looking for a pure safe haven, you cannot go wrong with the metals. Oil is not too bad. You know, oil will never fluctuate down like we were celebrating here in the short term. It was fun to watch the oil futures drop, but you know, oil is never going to drop. You're never going to see like oil go all the way back down to like $20, but oil is still on a crazy rip up. We could see oil fall some more. The reason why I don't really go into oil as a safe haven is because this is one industry that they really, you know, a lot happens when they raise the prices. There's a lot of tension when it comes to this. The governments get very upset with the oil industry, and nobody wants to see oil rise. There is so much pushback when oil rises, and then there is always talk of, oh, we need government subsidies against oil or ways to bring down the price of oil. And so When it comes to oil, there are some fluctuations towards the upside. You can make some good money in oil, but slow moving and not what I want to be in as a safe haven. When it comes to crypto, I do believe that crypto is a great safe haven, especially when we look at Bitcoin. You know, the true fundamentals behind Bitcoin, only 21 million ever in existence to be released onto the blockchain. And, you know, I've heard some compare Bitcoin to just like holding the S&P. I do believe in the long-term future with Bitcoin. Crypto is very volatile, but a lot of real utility with crypto, especially with the age that we are going into. A ton of volatility. And then also, again, it's going to be massive when we do see that clarity bill get passed. That will change the future of cryptocurrency and stable coins forever. And then when it comes to metals, I would consider that to be the ultimate safe haven. Over time, metals always rise, and metals have a lot of reasons to rise because, you know, we have the geopolitical reasons. You know, like recently this last year, we have seen a lot of different nations sell on their U.S. treasuries and go into hard metals. Hard metals are real money. You know, if you look at the history of money, I've talked about this before here, Chrisan, but I really recommend this book if you haven't read The Bitcoin Standard, because it's a very interesting book. It talks all about the history of money and then real sound hard money versus fiat currency. And many are bullish behind Bitcoin specifically, not all of cryptocurrencies. Each crypto has different fundamentals, but Bitcoin, because there is no real owner to Bitcoin, it is just on the free blockchain. There is no CEO that has Bitcoin, and there isn't supposed to really be any government control. Although, let's just be honest, the government does hold a lot of the flow in Bitcoin, especially with all the seizing they have done from illegal activities with Bitcoin. We have the big Bitcoin reserve with the White House. But the reason why so many like Bitcoin specifically is because it can't be diluted. Only 21 million ever to be in existence. But unlike the US dollar, where just more and more can get printed, you know, that is why the real Bitcoin maxis are behind Bitcoin. So I could see Bitcoin as a safe haven when it comes to all the other cryptos. That is a lot more speculative, especially if they have CEOs or big names behind those cryptocurrencies, like Dogecoin, for example. And I made a big bag off of Dogecoin back in the day. Just a little bit of a story for you guys. When it does come to Doge, one of my greatest plays ever was I bought into Doge. Where was it? I believe it was, when did Doge officially reach into the 70-cent range? So this is just showing 40. Is it? Okay, so anyway, back in the day, I got into Doge sometime around when it was like slightly under 10 cents, I think like around 5 to 7 cents. And I ended up selling as it got to the 60s, right around Saturday Night Live. It hasn't quite reached that peak yet. Again, I am not in Dogecoin currently, but a massive volatility jump that I had with Dogecoin, but not a real store of value or a safe haven over time. This was an amazing trade, but if I stayed invested, well, I'd be right back at that same point as when I had invested all the way back then. But I had a massive return on investment from this play. One of my greatest returns I have ever had. I actually purchased a vehicle from my proceeds that I had gotten from Doge, but this was just a trade right here. The reason why I bring up Doge is, like, if you compare Doge to Bitcoin, complete different fundamentals. With Doge, they are always releasing more Doge out there. There's like Doge being printed every single day, and this currency could be manipulated by Elon and others. Again, Bitcoin can be manipulated, but not quite in the same sense as something like Dogecoin. So if you're talking about stores of values with crypto, I would say I would just personally stick to Bitcoin, but I think that the hard metals are the best place for stores of value. I really like silver. Silver recently reached all the way up to 120. Now, this isn't spot silver. This is the iShares Silver Trust. This got all the way up to 1 115, but I think that silver is a great buy, especially with all the utility with silver, with all the hard metals. But when we talk about the age that we are currently in and all the uses for gold and metals and silver, you know, robotics, AI, these data centers, and I hear that a lot of these bombs also have a lot of silver in them as well. Military defense stocks, definitely a safe haven for the next 3 years. Yeah, I believe that military stocks also hold a lot of value. Again, I think that Palantir is great. I also think that Big Bear AI is great. And then also a lot of the different defense ETFs, I believe. You know, if you're not looking to pick into one individual company, but, you know, you have Lockheed Martin, and then you have all these different defense ETFs, which I do believe will push up even higher. When we do talk about President Trump, he is the most pro-crypto and most pro-defense president of all time. So I can definitely see that continuing. And Chrisan, the mom, thank you for saying that you love the hair. Yeah, you know, I just felt like switching it up most recently. So just doing the slick back, just something to switch it up a little bit, doing a little bit of a looks maxing, but I appreciate you saying that. I also do like the hair. Oh, Stephanie, thank you so much for the donations. Man, you guys are coming in hot with the donations today. Another $2 donation. Stephanie, thank you so much. If you have any request with your super chat here, because it does just show as a blank message, please drop that in the comment section on the side. Cheers, everyone. I agree. Cheers. Let's take a look where the major indexes are sitting at currently. Let's see if we're still gapping up. Look at that. So we did have the initial gap up and red candle with the S&P, but it does look like the bulls are currently controlling this overnight session, but we are looking a bit overextended on the relative strength index and the MACD. But again, guys, this just opened up. So as much fun as I have doing this, the main movements are really going to kick off right as that pre-market to market open starts. But yeah, great to see that both the triple Qs and the SPY are rising currently. Did you get my special photos I sent you? What do you think about X money going to XLM? That is interesting. XLM, are you talking about Stellar? You know, we talked a little bit about X money earlier, and with X money right now, it is just speculated to be fiat, a fiat-based digital payment system. But what's very interesting is we do have the Clarity Act being looked at right now, and if that does get passed, well, then X could easily go to all cryptocurrency and having these stable coins equal a real one-to-one. When it does come to it being XLM, myself, I don't really know much on that, but we will see if it does be Stellar Lumens or another type of cryptocurrency. But it'll be very interesting, and the setup could be very beneficial for Elon Musk if we do see that Clarity Act get passed, and then this does indeed happen in April. And did you get my special photos I sent you? That is so funny, Stephanie. Did you send those to me via email like I told you to contact me on email, greenmoneymomentum@gmail.com, if you want to get in contact with me with whatever you sent in those photos, Stephanie, and then I will check it out. And then I have paper and silver coin. Hey, that is great, Chrisan, the mom. It is great to have spot, and it is also great to also have paper. Let's take a look here. That basically, guys, that covers up most of what I was going to talk about here. That was the weekly preparation for this week in the stock market. Again, right now, extreme fear in the markets, but we did just gap up here in the overnight session. Myself right now, I am in a 50-50 spot with how I feel, kind of just in a wait and see spot. But what I will say is a lot of fear and a lot of negative catalysts have been in the markets for so long right now. A lot more pressure has already been down to the downside. So I do think that we are at a spot now where if we do get some type of bullish catalyst, or we do start to get some positive news with the macros, we could really start to see a trend reversal. What I'll say is I think that we are a lot closer to the bottom than the top right now. Let's take a look here just in the overnight markets again. Let's take a look at how Robinhood is performing. So Robinhood's still looking pretty decent, also pushing up just like the major indexes. There was one more thing I wanted to show you guys. I always like to do these streams and not just talk about the stocks, but be personal with you guys as well. Also get into some, some unrelated topics and whatnot. I am holding cash, but ready to invest. That is great, Chris on the Mom. One of my 6 golden rules of trading is to never over leverage yourself. It's always great to have cash on the sidelines. I am in the same position. I also have some cash on the sidelines that I am holding, waiting to buy even more dips in the markets. But like I have been showing with each and every single week, I've been showing these videos to you guys, and just, getting a little off topic. I wanted to show this right here because for everyone who is here right now, we do have 8 in the live chat. I want to say truly, sincerely, from the bottom of my green money heart, I really appreciate everyone who is here. I do believe that we are going to see some big movements here in the future with this channel. I'm just closing some tabs here, but I did want to share this video with you guys because this is just how I feel. This was when it was my birthday, so there's always someone here that's they're not here today, but they're always wishing everybody happy birthday. And so I wanted to share my birthday with you guys when I had the 1-year anniversary with Green Money Momentum. So just another fun clip to share with you guys. This is just going to be a minute 55. This is going to be the commercial break. If you guys want to see me break down anything else in the stock market, if you have any special requests, if you want to talk about life, my opinions, my favorite color, what I think about this or that, conspiracies, whatever, this is the part of the live stream where we are just going to fully open up the chat for everything, anything and everything. So if you want to talk about stocks or just other things, drop that in the comments section and we'll get to that right after we watch my birthday celebration. So this was the 1-year anniversary of Green Money Momentum. I will let this clip play and I will see you guys on the flip side here in just 2 minutes. Investors, welcome back to Green Money Momentum, where we talk about market movements, making money, and money momentum. I'm your host, Trevor, and this is the official birthday of the channel. So we have the ice cream cake and some champagne that I'm going to celebrate with all of you. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to everybody who has shown me support on this channel, because truly this would not have been possible without all of you. Every single one of you really motivate me to continue to do this. And so with that, we're going to celebrate with this bottle of champagne and some cake. This being the first birthday for the channel, it makes me think of my first birthday as a child, and this is what I look like as a 1-year-old. It's so crazy to be here as an adult and know so much about the stock market and how, because that kid right there knew nothing about EBITDA, price to sales, price to earnings, dividends, reverse splits, none of that. And now we have so much knowledge, and every single day just looking to continue to share the knowledge with every single one of you. Thank you guys so much again. Here's your glass of champagne, your slice of the cake. Incredible journey this last year. Truly, I can't be more thankful, and to many more years of growth ahead. Cheers. Tastes like a great investment. I love that clip. How did you guys like that? Let me know if you liked it in the live chat there. Hopefully somebody had a drink of champagne or did a cheers there, right? I'd love if somebody cheers with me on that. A lot of fun that we're having here, though. That's how I always feel about this channel. This is a dream come true. So every day is a celebration with Green Money Momentum. And I can't stress enough that this is truly just the beginning. That video was 5 months ago. So we are not even to 2 years on Green Money Momentum, and a lot of a lot of plans for this channel in the very near future. We're going to do a lot more things, many more vlogs, and so much more with Green Money Momentum. And what I loved about that clip too, I'm talking about when I was a kid, when I was born, all that, when I just had a little tiny brain, when I didn't even understand nothing about the stock market. And, you know, reverse splits, we're going to say reverse splits. That's the lesson of the day. If you don't understand what a reverse split is, let's get into a reverse split with the stock market here. We'll look at the Gemini definition, and then we'll just look at maybe some tickers that have done some reverse splits. For some reason, it's not letting me type here. That is very frustrating. This sometimes happens when I do streams. I don't know why that is. It's like my keyboard suddenly stops working, and that is what is happening right here. So pardon me, everybody. Give me 1 second. I'm having some technical difficulties here. I'm going to have to pull it up from the other tab. So if you don't know what a reverse split is, this is something that could destroy some investments. That is when there's a corporate action that reduces the number of outstanding shares while proportionally increasing the share price, keeping the overall market capitalization unchanged, used primarily to meet minimum listing requirements. Many times you will see RSs, reverse splits, in companies that are having problems with the NASDAQ. If they drop under that $1 mark, they will have to do an RS. And then when that happens, you see the stock price continue to collapse, because during those moments when it is right at $1 or under $1, if you research these tickers online, again, a lot of penny stocks, you know, everyone's like, oh, it needs to get to $1 by this date with the NASDAQ, or else they get delisted. And so what happens? Well, oftentimes you will maybe see a little pump, but then you will see the RS and the stock will go from being worth like 90 cents all of a sudden to like $9.80. That is when you could see different stocks have these crazy prices in the past. And if you are a novice, you will not understand why the price was so high at one point, or even think that you could get back to those levels. So this is a company that has done a ton of reverse splits. You know, if you were a novice just getting into the markets, you'd be looking at this peak right here and being like, oh my gosh, look at that. I mean, look at that number on the right. Wow, this stock was worth $1.3 million at one point. Now it's only worth $13. That is going to be the most massive return on investment of all time. But really, that is not possible. What this really shows is just dilution over time. This company has greatly diluted investors. So reverse split, RS, always watch out for that. If you are seeing the companies that you are invested into do some RSs, I'm not saying that it is always bad, but just know that is oftentimes a red flag. And a lot of the times with penny stocks that are having a hard time with getting with staying on the NASDAQ. And cheers, everyone. Did I get through these already? I think I did. Chris Ant the mom. Chris Ant the mom. I know. I you know what's so funny? Uncompromised one. I've had a hard time with this name because, you know, I was originally reading it as Chris Sean the mom, but Chris Ant the mom. I will get it eventually. Chris on the mom. Again, I appreciate you. You've shown a lot of love with super chats and support. So I really do appreciate you always being here. And then Two Wheels Pursuit. Hey, welcome to the chat. It's great to see you here once again. I appreciate the comments that you left in my last live stream. I did see the comments that you left in the replay as well, just talking about the price of Bitcoin. And talking about the price of Bitcoin, let's see if with the overnight market opening, if crypto had any push. Let's see if Bitcoin had a push up. So it looks like it's still right around the same levels. But yeah, right now Bitcoin's sitting at 72K. What do you think about Silverstein taking out 60 million insurance policy on the U.S. Bank Tower in L.A.? Let me research that really quick. I think I had somebody send me something about that. So give me one moment here. So let's take a look. I'll go to the article that one of my friends sent me. So give me a second here. Let's see. It looks like it was from x.com. So I don't know if this is absolutely confirmed or not, but let's take a look. It's funny that you mentioned that because, yes, I did have a friend actually send that to me earlier. So great question there. And just closing some tabs here on the side. So pay attention. Lucky Larry Silverstein just completed a $60 million renovation on the U.S. Bank Tower in Los Angeles. This is the same man who signed a 99-year lease on the Twin Towers just 6 weeks before 9/11 and added a terrorism insurance clause, who had breakfast at the top of the North Tower every single morning, except on the day of, when his wife made him a dermatologist appointment, who walked away with $4.55 billion, the largest insurance payout in history at the time, who received a call from Netanyahu every single Sunday for years, but there's nothing else to see here. Yeah, that is, people have talked about that going back to 9/11 and the insurance policy. So there's even a documentary about this with that date. It's I forget what it's called. It's like something about dollars, like War for Dollars or something like that. But yeah, a lot of conspiracies around the tower attacks. Many believe that the towers it was an inside job. Many believe that they were bombed. It was a demolition site. Others believe that, it could have been stopped, I guess, pre-hand when it came to the actual terrorists when they were going through flight school. I've heard that there were a lot of call-ins saying some suspicious activity, that they did not want to actually land the planes. They were only focused on flying it. And so a lot of red flags there. So the whole date in general, a very speculative time in history, not the first conspiracy that we have seen regarding the United States of America. We know, similar, we were talking about this in the last live stream, 1969 and the moon landing. So just another thing that Americans are speculating about, always speculative of. And then when it comes to this, if this is true, I mean, this guy does have a blue check mark next to his name, but anyone could have a blue check mark next to their name now. But if he has said that this is true, that is very, very interesting. And it would be very concerning if we see something similar to that. When it comes to the insiders and the tops of the world, they may know things that the rest of us don't. How is everyone doing this evening? Two Wheels Pursuit. We are doing amazing. I am having a great time. As always, you guys are providing me a ton of entertainment on a Sunday. I hope I am doing the same for all of you. And yeah, we just went through the first 10 minutes of this live stream, basically the first 30 minutes were everything to expect. And then we saw the overnights, which right now the overnight markets have opened up in the green. So let's go. Positive to see that there, that we have opened up on both of the major indexes, many different stocks. And we did see oil drop. So we did see oil get to 100 and then have a slight retraction down. But again, these are just very short-term price movements, and we aren't seeing a big catalyst at this moment. Again, very small movements. I expect for the movements to really get kicked off tomorrow in the pre-market. But regardless, doing great. Always great to see some green. And, as soon as we see the markets open, that's when all of us traders get our dopamine flowing once again. I absolutely love Monday through Friday. It's like, you guys know how it is. If you are a stock market investor or a trader, you look forward to Mondays. So I am doing great, and I'm enjoying Sunday. And sorry, $60 million renovation. Woohoo! Woohoo! And 1-year-old Trevor is a G. Hey, all about food official. Appreciate you joining us in the live stream. And yes, that young fella, he was a G. He was doing some big things. He was just learning about life, just walking around, Do you think 911 was an inside job, or do you think... Oh, that's so funny, Stephanie. I like the way you worded that. I guess, you know what? Everybody else in the live stream, if you have an opinion on that, drop that in the comment section or the live stream. I'd be curious to hear how everyone else feels about that. Great sale on everything right now. Yeah, there has been a ton of great sales most recently. I love to buy the dip. I love to buy when things are beat down and bloody. That is when you could get the greatest value for your investment. If you could be patient and sometimes wait through this sideways consolidation or more bleeding, when the trend does reverse, course, man, that is when you can see the greatest return on investment, and what a feeling it always is. School is in session. Yeah, we have been the school of thought here. I hope that I provide value to all of you in what I say. I hope that you guys gain some knowledge when I talk about the stock market, and the same is to be said for all of you. You help to educate me. You guys give me great tickers all the time, and as I always say, this is a trading journal for me, but also I use this for community. I really like the community that we have here at Green Money Momentum. I do plan to expand in the future. We should all have some type of chat room or something like that. But yeah, I really enjoy the conversations that we have. And I mean, I've been going live now every single Sunday for I think like 3-4 weeks now, with a couple live streams in between. So you guys know I love to talk. Every single one of these have been an hour plus. I could talk, and I could talk forever about the stock market and investments. I am so passionate about this right here, about the financial markets. It's what I think about all the damn time. It's on my mind 24/7. I remember with my old girlfriend, she got upset at me one night because I was tossing and turning and I couldn't fall asleep, and she got all mad, like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I can't stop thinking about applied to digital. It's just like, it's always on my mind. So I'm always thinking about the stock market, always looking to improve. And I believe there's a lot of improvement in synergy and multiple heads coming together, great minds thinking alike. And the more, we could all help each other out, the more we could succeed together as a group. And the more we all learn, the more we all earn as well. Reverse split, poor lucid. Yeah, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Uncompromised one, when it does come to reverse splits, always ugly to see. It's always ugly to see dilution as well. Dilution sometimes could be a positive. I mean, these companies, it is good for them, like the actual underlying companies, to raise capital. We've seen a lot of talks of dilution with the big bear, but in general, what we are always hoping for as investors is no reverse splits or no talks of dilution, no more shares being added. We were talking about real money earlier and safe havens. That is why Bitcoin is considered a safe haven, because the cap is 21 million. Unlike the US dollar or other currencies, you can't just continue to dilute it to shit or do some terrible things like a reverse split. Dragonfly Energy just had a reverse split not long ago. Let's take a look at how they are looking at in terms of a ticker. Not one that I really know about, but let's see how they are looking. So yeah, again, no surprise when I look at this chart right here, reminds me of another company, F-Cell, Fuel Cell Energy. It's like, it's unfortunate these companies have great products, but really the only reason why they come on to the markets, the real only reason why they go public is they just want to raise capital from novice investors, basically take from the investors. They really don't care if they eventually get diluted, but they will do everything they can to hype up investors and not diluted, delisted. They will do everything they can to not get delisted, hype up investors, lie to investors, essentially, do reverse splits and kind of sketchy tactics to keep themselves on the markets as long as possible until one day that delisting does happen. You never hear from them again. But man, the type of boohoo bucks they raked from novice investors, they are going to look to do it again in just another name. But it's very interesting because, like, when we talk about the stock market, this is where also being in the markets, being somebody who is just like in my chair, unless all of you are insiders, unless there's an insider watching here and somebody who really knows, what's going on, like in the depths of company, things that we can't see online. It's like, when you're in my chair, which we're all in the same chair, you got to always recognize what the markets are. And it's a pretty predatory game with these companies. It's like, there's a lot to learn in the markets. A big reason why I'm so passionate about it, because the learning never ends. I swear there's always something new to learn with the markets. And, but you need to, because if you're just a novice, at first it could seem very easy. If you just get into the markets and you buy a few different tickers and you see some green, it's always amazing when you're winning, especially when you didn't do any research, because it's like, wow, I'm a genius. Like, I made money just by like this company, but these companies, it's like, that's how they get people. They know people aren't always going to do research. They know many people aren't going to have the knowledge or do the deep a lot of people don't even know what a reverse split or dilution or any of that is, which I'm not putting those people down. We all learn, it's a journey learning, but that's who these different companies that do these shady tactics go after. Almost happened to Plug Power a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I believe this is another one that has had a ton of dilution and reverse splits and things like that. Yep, right there. Their high, not too horrible, actually 75, so not as bad as some, and definitely was bad for Netflix. That's right. Yes, Netflix did have that most recently, and let's take a look. They had the 10-1, I believe it was, and I mean, Netflix has had a very rough time, and I was talking to an investor when this did happen. I believe it was like right around this level. And he was asking if he should get into Netflix. And I told him, I personally don't think so. I don't like that Netflix made it more affordable to more investors, going from a $1,000 stock to a $100 stock. Now could help with some more liquidity entering, but he was just looking at it because of the stock price. And I'm like, no, if you're going to invest into Netflix, you need to really understand what's going on with the company. You need to understand their revenue, their balance sheet, look at their 10K filing, really understand what's going on with Netflix, because it's a lot bigger than just the RS or that price of $100. Again, that is where, being a novice, you could get fooled thinking that something is a deal when it's not. Now, am I saying that Netflix is not a great company? Honestly, not one that I research personally. I really don't like Netflix because I really don't like television. I really don't like media. I really don't like just brain rotting, as I call it. I'm not saying that it's bad to watch a movie here and there, but so much on Netflix is just pure junk. There are so many trash shows, and it's just like, I'd rather not waste my time doing that. I'd rather read some books. One that I've been reading most recently, I always like to give some shout outs on books. I really recommend this book. This is a great book, Trading in the Zone. Let's do a little bit of psychology here, and then I'll get back to the chat, because I read something in this most recently, and I just thought this is so great. So if you really want a book that is really all about trading psychology, I recommend this book, Trading in the Zone. I've seen many different great traders online talk about this, but it talks all about different psychologies and things like that. But it talks, let's see, I'll just read you guys a little passage. I'll find something here that is pretty good. So I thought this was very interesting. So this right here is in chapter 3, and it's winners, losers, boomers, and busters. It takes some time before most traders either throw in the towel or find out that the true source of their success. In the meantime, some traders manage to get enough right about trading to enter into what is commonly referred to as the boom and bust cycle. This is funny. It's like I'm reading out to a class. It's like going back to school and I'm reading aloud. Contrary to what some of you may have inferred from the example of the novice trader, not everyone has an inherently negative attitude and is therefore doomed to lose constantly. Yes, it is true that some traders do constantly lose, often until they lose everything or quit trading because they can't tolerate any more emotional pain. However, there are also many traders who are tenacious students of the market and have a sufficiently winning attitude going into trading so that in spite of the many difficulties, they eventually learn how to make money. But and I want to emphasize this, they learn how to make money only on a limited basis. They haven't yet learned how to counteract the negative effects of euphoria or how to compensate for the potential of self-sabotage. Euphoria and self-sabotage are two powerful psychological forces that have an extremely negative effect on your bottom line, but they are not forces you have to concern yourself with until you start winning or start winning on a consistent basis. And that's a big problem. When you're winning, you are least likely to concern yourself with anything that might be a potential problem, especially something that feels as good as euphoria. And so this continues to go deeper into that, but that's the type of things that this book has. And it just talks about trading psychology, things that are very relatable. And I thought that passage was very interesting because it just talks about euphoria and how when things are ripping green, that is when investors can seriously harm themselves because they start to behave in an environment where nothing can go wrong. And so right now, this is a great time for us all to be together, all be looking at the markets because, for everybody who is in here, and again, I believe we're going to have a much bigger audience in the future, especially when the bull market returns. But for everybody who is in here, give yourself a round of applause because you are in this market during a time that many have been tapped out of. Many were over leveraged and got liquidated time after time in October, November, December. And, this market that we have recently seen is proof that the markets can oftentimes stay irrational longer than many can stay solvent. So if you're here, give yourself a round of applause. Feel great because soon enough, I can't say exactly when, nobody could truly predict exactly when, maybe in May when we get the new federal chairman, but we will soon see another bullish rip in the markets. And this is when so many are going to miss out because they were liquidated. They got ultra bearish. Oh, the war is happening. This, that. They pull out all the negative reasons to not be invested into the markets, and then they miss the big rise back up. So right now we are preparing, waiting for that rise. But what I also just want to say, investors, like with that passage that we just read, just know that eventually we will be ripping back up. And when this does happen, just remember how you felt during these times. Remember during these times how you were cautious, how you weighed the risks, how you had proper risk management, and don't blow yourself up with the next rip because the markets really are they are cycles, booms and busts. Things go up and they go down. It's a roller coaster, right? And it's funny because there's so many opportunities that are always in the market, so many euphoric moments that have happened in the market, but so often with these moments of euphoria, many will lose all of those gains on the way back down. And oftentimes it will happen when the markets are looking the greatest, when things look like they are never going to drop, and then traders will get over leveraged or destroy themselves. So just a thought overall, again, with the 6 golden rules of trading. Maybe that's a video we'll share in the next live stream, unless you guys want to see it here, but I'll most likely show it in the next one. But if you guys haven't seen this video, I suggest checking out the 6 golden trading rules I learned after 10 years in the stock market. I just talked about 6 different rules that I believe in that will help you to remain successful over time and to be able to continue to surf with the waves and not hit a wave that is so big that you come crashing down. Now, okay, now let's get back to the chat. I thank everybody who is still here. We got 10 here. Hell yeah. We got double digits. We got all 10 fingers on the hand here. So great to see so many are here in the live chat. Man, we got a lot. I missed a lot here. You guys were chatting away. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the engagement, guys. Israel doesn't control the USA, but I know who controls the USA and Israel. They call themselves basically high-level Freemasons. Yeah, two wheels pursuit when it does come to Freemasons and the Freemasonic cult, the brotherhood to say, the deep down in society, 3-3, all those things. I have researched a lot into that as well. And when it does come to the Freemasons and when it does come to that club, some say the Illuminati, it's like it's pretty crazy. It's really crazy when you open up that rabbit hole, and there are so many different directions that all of that goes. But yeah, there's a lot when it comes to the bricklayers to say, right? Feeling bearish, Norris. Hey, welcome to the chat. Norris, you are always the one who is wishing everybody happy birthday. You were not here earlier, but hey, it was my birthday 5 months ago, and we celebrated the birthday stream. We were celebrating my birthday on this stream. So Norris, go back into this stream sometime after the live ends. Watch the replay because we did celebrate my birthday. We had some cake and champagne together. So Norris, great to see you here in the chat. Again, your favorite wristwatch and wine. Well, Croissant, my favorite wristwatch is this one right here, and I want to get some more. I like to remain authentic, but the watch you typically see me wear in my videos, this is let's see if we could get that to focus in. It's a Rolex, like the Oyster Perpetual series, I think it is. But yeah, I love this watch right here, stainless steel blue. I definitely want to get some more in the future. I really love the quality of this watch. It feels great, and I like all watches in general. I just like really classy watches, right? So I definitely want to get some more watches. And then when it comes to wine, to be honest with you, when it comes to alcohol, I'm not really much of an alcohol consommeur, if that's however you say, right? I'm not much of a alcohol person. So I have a rule when it comes to drinking. I actually only drink if there is a woman around, right? So I've broken the rule a few times in my life, maybe a special event or something like that. But typically I try not to drink unless I'm hanging out with a woman. And so funny enough, like the 5 months ago, man, I can't think of a time I have actually drank after this. So, I'm very proud to say I have not drank in 2026, but that's not to say that I don't like to drink. I'm just waiting for a nice opportunity, a celebration, hanging out with a female, having a fun time. Norris, LOL. Damn, missed the party. Well, that's all right. You can go back. Thankfully, everything is stored in this video, this live stream that will eventually be a video once this all wraps up. Let's all get super effing rich this year. Woo! I agree with you, Stephanie. Let's all prepare together. Let's all be successful in the bull market. This is so much fun doing this. I love going live. I look forward to it every single week. I'll tell you, out of everything I do in life, nothing makes me feel more alive than going live and participating in the chat and talking to all of you. I really enjoy doing this. We are going to be expanding this channel. I promise you that. We're going to be doing some live day trading and so much more. But that is because I want to be successful together with all of you. This is my trading journal, and you guys are my community. We are the Green Money Momentum family. So yes, let's all get fucking rich this year. Let's all work together. Let's all be beasts. Let's all be champions. Let's all be successful. We are going to all grow together. I invested into Bitmine about a year ago. Any good, Norris? Do you know your exact date when you invested into Bitmine? If you invested into Bitmine about a year ago, that is positive in the sense that at least whenever you do sell, if you plan on selling sometime in the near future, if you've held for a year, you get the capital gains tax benefits, right? It's not the same as if you sell in under a year. So always a positive. If you were going to be a long-term investor, hold for a year and you will get better tax benefits from holding your stock. So if you've held for about a year ago, I would say just hold it to that year. And overall, when it does come to crypto, as I started with this stream, I am looking at some of the crypto plays this week for trading. I'm looking at the crypto plays and then also Hims and Hers Health, which looks pretty flat here for the open, but but an in-play stock right now, Hims and Hers Health, and then also all the cryptos. Hey, Steph. Hey, thanks for welcoming, Steph. BATL. What is BATL? Oh, oil. Okay, cool. Yeah, with oil, I mean, I know oil is ripping, but it is not the trade for me. So if you're going to invest in oil, great. If you're going to trade in oil, great. I'm looking more at the defense stocks, at some hard metals as some hedge against the uncertainty that we are seeing. But oil, not really what I'm into, but the oil ETFs are always great. This looks like an individual oil stock, but in general, I'll say oil could continue to go up. But I'm looking at what the Federal Reserve is doing and how I expect for them to do some major quantitative easing here in 2026. And when that happens, that should be massive for all of technology, AI, robotics, the semiconductor stocks, all of that technology sector. So I'm still looking at technology despite in the moment oil is looking bullish right now. Now, geopolitical tensions may continue. So what I will say with oil, when we do look at the futures, it is a bit overextended on the relative strength index and the MACD. Doesn't mean that it can't run higher. I mean, it's running very bullish and for a good reason because of what is happening right now. The Strait of Hormuz is a big concern. So if you're going to trade in oil, yeah, a great opportunity for some short-term momentum potentially, but just know you are a bit overextended on the relative strength index and the MACD. And I'm not saying that this is a bad trade, especially if this Iran conflict lasts for many more months. I know the president is, acting like this is going to be over like right now. He's always saying the war is over, but it's not going to happen that quick. I mean, there are some serious things happening, some bombs going out in the Middle East. I am not thinking this is going to end anytime soon. And so oil, I believe, will continue to fluctuate, but I believe that we could continue to go higher and we may have an expensive summer coming up. But again, if we are going to see all of that, if we are going to see the war get worse, if we're going to see the oil continue to rise, because oil rising is really bad for the economy in general as a whole, because then a lot of other things rise as well. The cost of food rises, energy rises, like everything rises. Oil is arguably one of the biggest factors with the economy. So if oil continues to rise, if we really see oil rip up, I do believe at that point, the Federal Reserve is not going to be able to play their hardball anymore, and they're going to have to really start cutting, and that may align with Kevin Warsh getting in May. So some big things being talked about. If we get that clarity bill passed, the Clarity Act, we see that either this month or next month, and then right after that we get Jerome Powell out of here, man, the markets could seriously be ripping again. We were talking about the M2 money supply earlier, and then also the Fed's balance sheet, and really what it appears right now is the only thing holding in the way of a lot of this happening is just that fella Jerome Powell. Where is Two Wheels? He was here earlier. He may still be here in the chat. Stocks with Josh said Netflix will go to 150. I'm not sure actually who Stocks with Josh is, but you're always throwing out some other YouTubers here, Norris. I like that you're so involved with the community. Let's take a look who Stocks with Josh is. Stocks with Josh, all right. Looks like a cool guy, 185K. Looks like he has the haircut that I'm kind of trying out today. So, all right, man. Maybe I should reach out to this guy. Yeah, it looks like he has a good channel, though. I like his thumbnails. He's getting big views. I would like to get some views like that. I've never actually heard of this YouTuber, though. But, I guess I'm lying. I'm subscribed to him. What the heck? Well, I didn't think I knew who this guy was. Maybe I've seen this guy before. Oh, okay. I think I have seen this guy before. Okay, I think I watched him once and subscribed to him, but that's his take on Netflix. Well, I would have to watch the video to understand why he said that. I'd have to see the reasons for that. I don't know what his reasonings are, but he seems like a pretty good analyst, and I subscribe to him. So are Wednesday and Thursday usually the best days to trade? Well, like we were talking about in I think the last live stream, we've live streamed actually. Now I haven't actually just done a video since 6 days ago. So the last live stream, yeah, the one we talked about here, and I believe you might have been there, Norris, was the fear, uncertainty, and doubt everywhere in the stock market. We were talking about how Fridays are often OPEX. That is where a lot of options expire. And then when we look, we go over to unusual whales, and then we look at the gamma exposure, the way these options work is the dealers are positioned, at places where there's these massive gamma walls, open interest, right? Where if this right here hits, like say Big Bear this last week went to $4.50, that is a lot of contracts that are finishing very positive, being able to get a payout, and the dealers have been crushing those contracts. And so recently, when it comes to the best days to trade, yeah, definitely the earlier days in the week, Wednesday, I'd say like Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday has been a bit shaky, and then Friday has typically been pretty low liquidity, and then just a lot of options expiring worthless. And so when it comes to the options market, like I was saying in the last live stream, even if you don't trade options, you should really educate yourself on the options market and really learn it, because when it does come to where the dealers are positioned, where the gamma exposure is, the market makers, it's very interesting because one I have paid attention to a lot most recently is Robinhood and the major levels of gamma exposure, where a lot of those options have been expiring worthless, all right around that $80 mark. And I mean, the same to be said when we look at the major indexes. They have been flat and sideways for so long. So when you look at how the dealers are, they have been very hedged right around like the level of 7,000 on the S&P, 700 on the SPY. So To answer your question, Norris, yeah, I think that typically like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are the best days. Friday could be a bit shaky, and Monday's not bad. I mean, there's a lot of pressure opened up as the weekends have finally ended. But Friday, I would say, is definitely the sketchiest day to trade if you're a bull, unless those dealers want to see these stocks rise and we see some what would be considered like gamma squeezes. I have seen the 6 rules. Yes, I know that, Croissant. Thank you. You are a longtime supporter of this channel ever since you joined us. I know you've been watching like every single video. You have also donated tonight, so thank you for the donations. Again, I really do appreciate that, and everybody who supports this channel, you are keeping it going. Many more big things to come with Green Money Momentum in the future. I have ridden the roller coaster up and down and back again. I need to learn to take profits, step off, and buy back in. Well, I recommend that book. Again, it is Trading in the Zone. Seriously, this is a great book. It talks a lot about psychology, something that many traders struggle with. When it comes to the stock market, it is so important to understand what you are looking at in terms of like, are you looking at a stock? Are you looking at an ETF? Is this an options contract? Like, what do the macros look like, right? There's a lot of factors. You should know how many shares outstanding there are. Is there dilution going on? Like, there's all these different things you could know. You can know the price to earnings, the price to sales. You could know if it has a dividend, if there is all these different factors, right? Like, you could look at the balance sheet, say, oh, they're a pre-revenue company, or, oh, they're decelerating when it comes to revenue, or, oh, they're accelerating, or, oh, they have this plan in the future. But even with all of that knowledge, it's also important to always keep a stable head. And like I said, in the 6 golden rules of trading, have proper risk management and put yourself in positions to win, because some investors just put themselves in a lose-lose scenario from the very beginning. And something to think about is expected value. What is your true expected value with an investment? If you are buying when things are really high, yeah, things could continue to rip, especially if the macros are looking positive. But also know during that situation, if you're going to buy when things are a lot higher, maybe set a stop loss so you're not in a lose-lose where you see, like, for example, like this is one where I talk about this play on this channel, and it's one that I am looking at for this week. But MicroStrategy, I mean, I was back in this play all the way back at 500, and then I took profits on the way down around here, and then I remained patient, and then multiple times during this downtick, right at this level around the 200-day MA, I bought some options contracts with MSTR, but thankfully I didn't over leverage, and they ended up expiring worthless. I also bought some shares but put some stop losses because it just ended up falling further and further. And so when it comes to investments, just put yourself in a winning position. It's always the best thing you could do for yourself. And Two Wheels Pursue, you don't drink alcohol. For the most part, I don't either. Nothing against anybody who drinks alcohol. I mean, I will drink alcohol here and there again, but I have the rule I talked about earlier in the stream. It has to be something like a special event, or if I'm hanging out with a woman or doing something fun like that. But overall, yes, this answers actually what I was going to say. Overall, alcohol and trading don't mix. A big reason why I'm not always drinking is I just like to stay on top of my game. But alcohol could be pretty fun. I mean, I can't lie. I mean, alcohol is great, especially when you haven't had it for some time. But yeah, I would not want to get wasted and then hit the charts. That would be quite scary. Hello, Norris. Hey, Two Wheels, ready for tomorrow? I believe yes. I sure am, Norris. Yes, Two Wheels confirms. I will probably add on at market open. How come there's more males in trading than females? Well, that is an interesting question about psychology in general. I don't know, Norris. That is a great question. Funny when it does come to males and females. I did read in a book actually once, though, that females can often have better performance in their portfolios because oftentimes males, we have that ego where we constantly want to be better. We constantly want to shape things and build things, and we're always looking for a way to improve, where females could be more passive. And so oftentimes males will fall more into over trading. I'm holding ONDS. Let's take a look. I haven't actually looked at ONDIS. I bought some Ondas in the last live stream. It might have been you, Norris, who was talking about it, but somebody was talking about it on Friday's live stream. But yeah, I'm bullish on Ondas. We have their earnings coming up. It looks like not too much movement here in the overnights. Two wheels, are you adding to Big Bear AI? I don't even know if I've looked at Big Bear since the overnight has opened either. Let's see, 397, so 0.3 cents has moved here. Soundhound, thanks for the ticker. I know you've been looking at Soundhound. I appreciate your comment in my last live stream. You were talking about a potential triple bottom. So in one of my last live streams in the replay, Two Wheels here was talking about a triple bottom. We got the one here, so A, B, and then this could potentially be C. Where we are sitting at currently, we are decently low on the relative strength index, but not at the lowest point. And then when it does come to the MACD, we are at a crucial spot because we could potentially see a bearish cross here. But what I will say, we are near a major level of support with Soundhound. I am very bullish on this company, and we could also get a fake out on this MACD and jump higher. But this is a situation where it's like, if we're coming to a turn on the road, I'm going to slow down and not speed up. So I'm going to wait to see if Soundhound does have a bearish cross here. But overall, Soundhound, like a lot of the markets, I believe could run if the macros are positive. But really, the macros are going to play a big role in everything right now. But if quantitative easing really gets kicked off, say somehow, Jerome Powell comes out at this next meeting and says like, hey, you know what? Fuck your puts. We're going to do an unlimited amount of QE. We're going to do a basis point, right? Or something crazy. Soundhound is one of those plays, one of those technology assets that could really have a big rip. Again, technology, small caps, all of that. Very bullish if we really start to see some QE. I'm not betting on the Fed to cut at this next meeting, but maybe once we get later in the year, I believe in June, that will be the next meeting after we have Kevin Warsh in the place officially. I mean, it should be Kevin Warsh. I don't believe it's a 100% confirmation, but it seems about that seems to be who Trump has appointed. Two Wheels, I second the question. Yeah, maybe buy some sound at the bottom here and then scalp on the way back up. I'm mainly watching and waiting for a really good dip on a few different stocks. One of them is HD and another is BYD. What is BYD? Boyd Gaming. Okay, looking at Boyd Gaming. Is Boyd Gaming, is that like a is that a gaming company? Is that like Take Two? Take Two. This is the company that has Grand Theft Auto 6, if that ever comes out. But look, that is really broken under the 200-day moving average. And then let's take a look at what HD is. Oh, Home Depot. Hey, that's a good play. That's a solid long-term hold. And right now it has collapsed under the 200-day, 50-day, and it is very low on the relative strength index and the MACD. A great opportunity there. Two Wheels, thank you for calling that out right there. Josh loves BBAI too. Yeah, a lot love BBAI online. It's funny because when I started covering Big Bear AI, there wasn't as much attention as there is now. So definitely the popularity with Big Bear did grow a lot in 2025. Big Bear is expected to have some big things with this company. What I like about where Big Bear is currently, and I'm not saying it's a true one-to-one or not trying to like totally compare them, but like when we do talk about the bullish sentiment with Big Bear, very reminiscent of Palantir when Palantir was under that $10 range. Everyone was talking about the value with Palantir, and then eventually we saw the major rally happen in Palantir. Now, one big difference though, in all honesty, is Palantir at that time was still having some better quarterlies. But yeah, a lot looking at Big Bear. There's a lot to be bullish on with the Big Bear. I am a long-term bull on the Big Bear, but also some to be bearish with the Big Bear. And with the options market, what kind of worries me is we were sideways for so long, and then we had that breakdown, and so a lot of break even right around $4 and $4.50. But if the dealers want to buy and we start to really see some this gamma gets squeezed, we could see a big push up in Big Bear AI. So it's all about if Big Bear can really break past that $4.50 if we really want to start to see some momentum. Again, just my opinion, never financial advice. Fist bumps, my brother Eric, the only wrench here on this channel. So for everybody who is here, I'm going to give a wrench to somebody else here. Let me see. Somebody else who deserves a wrench. So if you are a fan of this channel and you show your support, you could also earn yourself a wrench. I'm going to give you a wrench here sometime soon, and Croissant. But I'm not finding it here. But Eric, he has the first wrench on this channel. That's because of all the support that he has shown. And Croissant, you should be getting a wrench here soon. So if you continue to support this channel, you can earn yourself a wrench and be a moderator for these live streams. Soundhound is forming a triple bottom with a neckline at $9. Normally, it indicates a bullish reversal. Yeah, I agree with you there. When it does come to Soundhound on the technicals, it's not looking too bad right now. Under the 250-day moving average, near a major level of support. And again, like you say, maybe a triple bottom here. The only thing that does concern me here is the MACD, but I believe if the markets are bullish in general, Soundhound could have a massive rip. Another one I will look at for trading tomorrow, I am looking at for day trading, I am looking at the crypto plays, Hims and Hers Health, and looking at Soundhound, not a bad option. The double leveraged Soundhound SOUX, every 1% that sound goes up, Soundhound double leveraged will go up by 2%. Wishing a happy birthday. Thanks for the scoop, Heart. Oh, yes. We were talking about Kraken not long ago. Yes, Eric, I did open up my Charles Schwab, so I can finally invest into the Canadian market, which my brother, my friend, thank you again for so persistently pushing for me to look at Kraken Robotics, because, you kept mentioning it, and I was a little stuck in my ways where I didn't want to open up another broker and anything like that because I'm already in Robinhood. I have a Webull, I have a Moomoo, but you know what? I really appreciate it because, it's great to diversify, not just in sectors. It's great to not just be in what's it called, in technology or just one thing, but also to diversify internationally, get into different markets. This is a Canadian stock right here. So this goes, as you can see, CAD has a $2.93 billion market cap in Canadian dollars. But yeah, you picked a winner, Eric, and I shouldn't have waited for so long, because you were talking about this, I believe, all the way back in September or October. Yeah, Kraken is looking very bullish, and I believe it was you also talking about how they are working with Andrill, which is a big military defense company, and so things are looking big for Kraken. When we do look at the robotics sector, I know you are also into Rich Tech Robotics, which, damn, Eric, we have ate this one together, haven't we? This sucks. Now, I am bag holding a little bit with Rich Tech on just some options contracts. They could flip around. They are leaps all the way out to 2027 and 2028. I bought them for a low premium, so I'm also not concerned, but damn, when we talk about robotic stocks in comparison, Kraken looking a million times better than Rich Tech, as we had this big pump and dump with Rich Tech, which came off a false article. Very sad to see that. But now we have consolidated a bit on the relative strength index and possibly seeing a bullish cross on the MACD, but only time will tell. But this is what we run into sometimes with the small caps. I still love small caps because it takes less money to really make these companies move, but also with small and micro caps, unfortunately, you could get things that happened like we just saw with Rich Tech. So I'd like to see Rich Tech come out with some bullish news, something from the insiders of the company. I would like to see Rich Tech make up for this BS that happened around this point. Because if you don't know what I'm talking about here with Rich Tech, at this part I highlighted here in the green, an absolute pump and dump. There was a false article come out about them working with Microsoft. Didn't even end up being true. And then, just like we were talking about earlier, the golden lesson of the day, reverse splits. Rich Tech didn't do a reverse split, but they took the opportunity to dilute on investors. Very, very disappointing. I'm buying the dip in BBAI. I like that. And Kraken, I like that, Eric. SpaceX going public. IPOs make me nervous. Did you see, Norris? We talked about the new Robinhood Ventures fund most recently. This is where they have a fund, an ETF dedicated to companies that have yet to go public. Some companies that would go public if it wasn't for all the restrictions in the market. There is a lot when it comes to going public. A lot you got to do with the Securities and Exchange Commission. And so when it comes to going public, some of the talk is tokenization, having SpaceX go public with tokenization being a tokenized asset. So we'll just have to see with SpaceX, but a lot of speculation. I know a lot of hype also when it does come to SpaceX. 90 minutes, it's okay to wrap it up. Oh, well, thank you, Chrisana. Well, I thank you for being here. Yes, we're going to wrap it up here in just a second. I didn't even realize we were at an hour and 30 minutes. This is just how much I could talk. Like you guys know, I could talk forever. And again, we still have 8 here in the live chat. So for everyone who's joined, thanks again. Eric, no RR. I like BBAI, but I am slowly averaging into it. That is a good way to get into Big Bear. What I'll say with Big Bear, it's like in the short term, we'll just have to see. I agree with you. It's good to average in. 2 wheels. I am watching, and then Poet Technologies. I don't really know too much about Poet, but right now at $7.15. When it comes to technicals, beat down from where it was all the way back when it had its initial public offering. Looks like that was all the way back 2014, man. So it's been in a bear market of itself for some time. Let's take a look over at Barron's and take a look at what Poet's market cap is. Market cap of 1 billion, but man, they still have not reached back to the high that was set in 2014. Let's see if they've had any dilution with it. Poet Technologies has frequently used private placements and direct offerings to raise capital. So yeah, honestly, Poet not one that I personally want to get into just with what I saw there. Do I think it will go up again? I think it has potential. When it comes to the robotics sector, I believe it is very bullish still. I believe this year could be big for robotics, but man, that was some BS what Rich Tech did with that false article. Very upsetting. Great work, brother champions. Fist bumps. Thanks again. And are you going to dump Rich Tech Robotics? Chris on the mom, another super chat, another $5. Thank you so much for the super chats. You have really shown a lot of support to this channel. And for your questions, should we and are you going to dump Rich Tech Robotics? Well, I'm very transparent with this. I love to show you guys all the winners, but also I showed in a video. I talked about this too. I could just take a look here at my phone. Again, I would show you guys on screen, but this channel is not about the money. It's just about the percentage, the return on investment. So I don't want to show my position because then it will show the dollar amount. I just want to tell you guys the percentage. But with my Rich Tech Robotic, I did buy some leaps going out into 2027 and 2028. And unfortunately, in the entirety of the position now, this is the type of volatility with options contracts. So I do talk about the winners, but also there could be some losers. This position, my overall strategy, all the different contracts that I have with Rich Tech currently down 70%. So things are looking ugly in that, but with options, again, a ton of volatility. You could see crazy ROI with these 100%, 1,000% return on investment. So if you're an options investor, it's actually not that crazy to oftentimes go down by 20 to 50 or more percent. But with that being said, yeah, I'm already down on those, 70%. So I'm holding for the long term. I still stick to my original thesis. I still believe this company will earn more revenue. They have been great with customer acquisition. They are popping up everywhere in Las Vegas, a lot of real value with their technology. But when it comes to the company insiders, what they are doing, the dilution that we saw, the false article, that really does upset me. But I am not dropping it here, Chris Sun. But what I would say is, if you're holding shares, maybe set a stop loss, or with this play, I would say you could buy the dip, but I don't know. Me personally, I'm going to let it prove itself to me. I'd like to see Rich Tech start to have some bullish momentum. I'm personally not going to be trying trying to catch the falling knife. And again, that is just because of that article that came out, that false article there. And then the ideas of March was used in ancient Rome as a deadline for unsettled debts, according to the Old Farmer's Almanac. The Ides of March. I'll have to take a look more into that, Two Wheels, but you always provide interesting perspective. So thank you. And I'm holding RR, and then I sold my RR and bought Kraken. Well, it looks like he definitely made the right move with that. And then, yeah, Croissant, I mean, all I could do is be honest. I am not going to be somebody who lies to you. I build my whole channel on pure honesty. You know, that is why everything I give on this channel, all the live streams I do, and I know you've donated tonight, but like everything I do, I just do out of passion for the love of the game. And I just want to give out free information and help other investors, but be very transparent. I would say watch out for anybody that is giving you crazy, like it's good to have price targets, but if anybody is ever telling you a certainty, like, oh, I like if I was on here saying like, oh, I can tell you right now, Rich Tech Robotics is going to have a gamma squeeze and it's going to jump all the way up to $50 by December, like that would be the time to be concerned, because again, the 6 golden rules of trading is it's a coin flip game. Anything can happen. Although I talk about these companies, I'm bullish on different tickers. It's not like I'm an insider with these companies or anything like that. So I'm speculating alongside all of you, and I'm always just trying to gather data and make my best opinion. That's why it's never financial advice, just my opinion. But yeah, I have absolutely no reason to lie to any of you. Purely doing this for passion, for the Trading Journal, and also for the community. Another heart there. And with that being said, everybody, it was a great time here on the live stream. We discussed a ton. We discussed everything to expect for this upcoming week with the markets. In the first 30 minutes, really, we first talked about how the futures had opened up. We saw the overnight market open up. We talked about Iran and so on and so on. And so going into this week right now, I am still in a spot where I'm a little hesitant. I'm not necessarily going to go too heavy on dip buying. I'm also not super concerned either. Just a wait and see period. Right now, we have a lot of negative things happening in the world, but we have already seen so much negative things happen. And again, like when we do look at Bitcoin, despite like, you know, things were already dropping and then the Iran war was confirmed, it did not drop down to the same low that was in February. So we are sitting at a very interesting spot in general when it comes to the overall markets, when it comes to where cryptocurrency is at, when it comes to some of the bills that are being looked at in Washington, D.C., the midterms this year, and so much more. But for this week, I am just right now remaining cool, remaining patient, just waiting and seeing. The markets a lot of the times are all about patience. So that is how I currently feel. And Croissant, good night. Have a great night. I am also signing out of here. So thank you to everybody who did join in the live stream today. Do your own due diligence on every stock before you buy it. Again, absolutely another golden rule of investing. You know, you got to always do your own due diligence. Never blindly just take my opinion or anybody else's opinion as fact. You know, a big thing with being a trader or being successful in this world, I truly believe, is being able to formulate your own thought and take full responsibility for everything, for all your own actions. Don't blame someone else because they told you about a ticker and you bought too much of it and now you are bleeding, or maybe because somebody told you about a ticker and now it's all of a sudden green. No, it's you who hits that buy or sell button, unless you have a broker doing it for you, which is not bad to have an actively managed fund, but take responsibility, take responsibility, take responsibility. No excuses, everybody. We are in control of ourselves. One of the greatest things about this universe is the law of attraction. Everything in your life is because of you. Don't blame your parents. Don't blame society. Don't blame the president. Don't blame the past president. It is within you. All the power is within. And thoughts on Arlo? You know what? We're finishing the live stream, Norris. So maybe next stream, if you're here next Sunday, or if we do another stream this next week. But really, there's not much on the earnings calendar this week, so probably not going to do any earnings videos. But maybe I'll do a daily talk of stock, doing another live video again this week. I haven't done an actual video. I've just been going live since I think like Friday of last week. So I really need to get another video in. But I just love these live streams. So yeah, so we'll get to some more tickers soon though. High roller. Yep. Don't trust the yep. I love my green family. I love you, every single one of you. This is me to every viewer who is here, everybody who is connecting with me right now as I'm talking through my webcam to you behind your screen, whether you're watching on a telephone screen or whether you're watching, you know, on your TV, whether you're watching on your phone, whatever. This is a real connection we have. I absolutely love doing this. This is my favorite thing in the world, and much more to come for the Green Money Momentum family in the future. Family rocks, brother. You need a green shirt. Get rid of the red. Oh, God, I agree with you, Eric. Damn, the markets have been bleeding for so damn long, my man. I want to be wearing a nice green shirt every single video. Real quick with that, what's funny, you know, just something that I have noticed as a YouTuber. Well, again, we watched my birthday earlier, which was 5 months ago, but something I've noticed as a YouTuber in just the last year of doing this, something like we were talking the last stream about the moon cycles and how some invest into the moon cycles. It's so funny. Before October started to happen, I felt like every single one of my videos was green. Look at all of that right there. Stocks are pumping. The bull run is here. Bulls, time for QE. Like everything was so positive and green, and my views were a lot higher at that point. So an interesting statistic to look at just in general for myself, I guess you could focus on me or other YouTubers, is just look at the types of views we are getting at as financial YouTubers, because, you know, as the views continue to rise, more money, more people, more volume is happening. And that is when you could get a reversal. Just like right now, we're getting less views in general across the board, not just me, but other YouTubers as well. So right now, views are low. I do believe we are closer to the bottom than the top right now, getting set up for an oversold reversal overall in the markets. Let's go get a workout in. Yes, I'm going to get another workout in. I did chest earlier. I'll probably hit the gym, do some arms and some biceps in a little bit. Some triceps too, right? Z out. I am out here too. I'm just getting through the chat right here, but thank you so much. Market crashes are the perfect opportunity to dollar cost average down. Yes, I would say not bad, but also just be aware of what you are buying, because, you know, you could be catching a falling knife. But I agree with you overall. Two wheels pursuit, just buying the great plays and opportunities. And then Trevor needs some water. Getting a little bit of a dry throat here, but that's all right. I could do this for days. I could do a 24-hour live stream. I would love to do that. I think that would be so much fun. When I am going live every single day, when we do our live day trading, you know, there will probably be days when it's just 30 minutes of live if we make our money quick, or there could be days where I'm alive on here for like 6 hours or so. So just preparing for all of that. We need a family board. Yes, a greenmoneymomentum.com or something similar. I plan on having a community tab, and then maybe even some other things that we could look at that could help us all. Maybe a little bit of screeners and whatnot. But I would love to connect with all of you. It'd be really cool for us to all have a real community to exchange ideas. I agree. Synergy, energy between multiple brains, and you could do cardio with me. Oh yeah, Stephanie, well, that's great. I love cardio. I do morning cardio as often as possible. You know what I said after this? I did chest earlier, and I did a little bit of triceps. After this, I'm saying I'm going to do bis and tris. Maybe I'll do some cardio. I might get in on the treadmill, do that too. I also love to do cardio with boxing. But yeah, Stephanie, if you ever want to do some cardio, I mean, you told me, I think like 2 streams ago, that you are out here in Arizona. So I want you to email me greenmoneymomentum@gmail.com. Oh, yes. What would the contest be, Norris? Hey, what contest do you guys want to have? Who could have better performance, males or females? Well, I think that is the perfect way to end the stream. Thank you guys so much for being here. I have so much fun. Guys, I will see you all in the next live stream, or I'll see you all in tomorrow's daily talk of stock. I will make a video tomorrow. It's been 6 days. The last time I did a video was on Monday. So I will not go live tomorrow, but I will do a video for you guys. I will go live sometime later in the week, whether it's the daily talk of stock or whether it's next Sunday for our next live stream. But thank you guys so much for being here. As always, it is all of your support that keeps this channel going. I wish us all to have a lot of green money momentum in the markets this week. I am wishing you all the best. With that being said, everybody, I am out. Thank you so much. If you didn't already, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and I will see you all in the next video.